everybody, welcome to another fantastic episode of Hashtag Shout! I am your co-host, Steve Jones 313, Stephen Caulfield. Alongside me is, surprise guest, it is my fellow co-host, the Lone Walker One, Adam Caulfield. Wasn't scheduled to be on this week, but unfortunately, Paul Cracker was unable to attend, as he's been stricken down with a mysterious illness. Maybe the lurgy, we do not know, but hopefully he'll be on the next episode I present. So Adam, thanks for joining us.
Charmed as always.
Now, we have second-timer on the show. You might remember him for his famous rant in regards to university students, or maybe you'll remember him when he went off on the misconception of pagans by Catholics. We'll not jump into that one because we don't want to set him off. He's got other rant material for tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, it is the Quil Guy, Kai Shepherd.
Hello, people!
Yes, he is the lost child of Brian Blessed. And of course, with me is a first-timer to the show. He is a very long-time friend of mine. Very glad he could be on the show. Very excited about this. American recording artist Tyler Sanford. Thank you for joining us on the show.
Thank you, buddy.
God rest your soul.
And out of curiosity, whereabouts in America are you from? So try to place the accent.
I am from Massachusetts, the Cape Cod area.
Yes, Massachusetts. Okay. Well, great. So basically, we four, as per usual, are going to present each, you wonderful fans, a topic each, where we will rant for 20 minutes, and then upon the end of the 20 minutes, you will hear this noise. And at the end, once you hear that noise, it'll be time to move on to the next topic. And at the very end of the show, we'll sum up in a little section of what we've learned, and then I'll be plugging stuff like the plugging whore that I am. Now, obviously, guys, there's always a bit of a kerfuffle and a bit of a battle to determine which poor sod has to go first, and this time I volunteered to go first, because quite frankly, if I didn't, I'd be going first anyway.
Yeah.
And what we're doing, we're trying to balance out the show a little bit. We've got two subjects which aren't so dark, and the other two are Kai's and Ams. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to start with me, and the subject I'm going to be talking about is nostalgia. A nice optimistic one, I think, to start the show. So, Adam, could you give me 20 minutes on the clock and give me a countdown to start?
I shall do. I'll give you a countdown in 3, in 2, and in 1.
Nostalgia. Now, for a lot of you people who don't know or what nostalgia is, it's that sentimental feeling, that feeling of things from the past that you enjoy, that warmth when you suddenly remember a joke that you heard a while ago, or a feeling or something. And I'm quite a nostalgic person. I miss a lot of things from the past, and I tend to rant about them quite a lot. So I thought, to start off the show, we'll start off with a positive note, and I'll quiz you three guys about some things which you miss and you would like to see come back, and also, alternatively, the things that you're glad are kind of stuck in the past. The first thing that I kind of feel when I think of nostalgia are TV shows. Yeah. I don't know about you guys, but when I was growing up, I actually did get to watch a lot of TV, a lot more than I watch now, because now I watch QI and Raw, and that's about it. You know? So, there were shows in the past that I loved. There was a show on ITV called Nightmare. That show was like D&D with virtual reality and just, oh my god, it was beautiful. Yeah, basically, the premise of the show was you had a host who was your dungeon master, so to speak, called Treguard. And he would summon 4 children. Now, these children would be about, say, I don't know what the American terminology or the Northern England terminology is. We would call it secondary school. So you took it between 13 and 16, would you say?
Middle school?
I don't know, I'm not American. But it's between the ages of 13 and 16, basically. And you get these 4 kids on the show. One of them would have to put on this helmet, which restricts their view, so they could only see a little bit from them, just so they don't fall over and smash their face into the ground. And the other 3 would stay back with Treguard. The kid would go into the dungeon, which was a series of blue screens, a bunch of rooms filled with blue screens and the like, and actors to play several parts. And whilst the kid was blind, the other 3 kids would have to direct them on how to walk around. And basically they have to accomplish quests, answer riddles, avoid enemies, with all the goal of trying to achieve some kind of goal at the end, such as achieving the chalice, or retrieving a sword, or freeing a prisoner. And it was a great show because it had 3 levels. And everyone who watched that program was always sitting in front of the screen going, I could have answered that. I could have done that so much better. What are you fuckwits doing? What the hell is wrong with you? And I was one of those guys. No, that was Nightmare.
No, I'm saying it sounds like a Crystal Maze, but I could have done that better.
Well, funny enough, Crystal Maze is another show, and Crystal Maze is a unique one for me because Crystal Maze actually had a facility in Blackpool, in England, where you could go and play the Crystal Maze.
Oh my god, I went there.
So did I.
Yeah, I did that exactly.
Yeah. At this moment, Tyler's looking at this phone call, going, "What in the hell are they talking about?"
Yeah, unfortunately, me kind of living in a different area, I'm not too familiar with it.
Yeah, the kind of ocean kind of causes issues. But there were some American shows, or shows that came or were popularized in America, that I loved as well. And for me, the biggest one, the absolute biggest one, owner of them all, for like cartoons or shows from America, was Sonic the Hedgehog.
Oh, yeah.
Sonic the Hedgehog!
Now that's the funny thing, because I first started watching Sonic, just the original The Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, which was that whole, it had my favourite Robotnik, I loved it. I loved that show, and yet it is just like a massive LSD rush.
Is that the one with Scratch and Grounder?
Yeah, that's the one with Scratch and Grounder.
I remember that.
I love Scratch and Grounder.
And you always wanted a chili dog for some reason.
Yeah, you always wanted a chili dog.
I've never tried a chili dog.
And yeah, I'm one of the few people out of all my friends that actually knows the origins of Sonic.
Well, you're talking to a guy who was really big into 90s gaming, in fact, still is. So, whenever you mention something like Sonic or anything else, kind of clicks with me,
Well, yeah, we actually touched upon it on the last episode of Shout, because they were Adam and his guest Jack were talking about video games, and Sonic came into it. And I was giving a brief description of the origins of Sonic, which was basically he tunneled his way into the underground laboratory of Dr. Ivor Kinterball, who was a very thin professor who was trying to cure the planet Morbius of its negative energy by using the Chaos Emeralds to gather all that Chaos energy. Now, Sonic was already the fastest hedgehog alive, but he never had really super speed. Until one day, Ivor Kinterball was so impressed by his speed, he made him some power boosts, which basically reduced friction, and he was able to achieve Sonic speed. And then Ivor Kinterball had an accident which involved tripping over, slamming his face into these machines that were connected to the Chaos Emeralds, and it transformed into Dr. Robotnik. I would go into the entire ethos of that, but that is a rant for another show.
Exactly.
But that's just to explain how much I loved Sonic, right? I was into the mythos. I got Sonic the comics. I was into the games, the shows, and then as Kai alluded there, when he was singing the theme song to the second one, which was over in England referred to as, I think it was in America as well, Sonic Sat-Am, because it was like the Saturday morning.
Okay.
It had the most kick-ass theme. It's definitely my top 10 of greatest themes of all time. You cannot listen to that theme and not get amazed by it. Sonic, he can really move. I was just like, I play that now.
Thing alive.
Exactly.
That's why he didn't do well with the ladies.
Oh, I know.
Oh, what? I'm sorry.
He doesn't have a penis. Anyway. But there were other things, growing up that really got me going. Like, things that I would do with friends. And, for example, in fact, not so many years ago, me and Kai, in fact, one of my favourite pastimes was getting on SingStar, because basically Kai, being the guy he is, had bought pretty much any song you could possibly want.
Memories like the corners of my mind.
He's going to do that all episode.
Nice.
Goes
a special singing episode.
Right, so that's it. Kai, every time you sing something, I'm going to sing something. That is the rule.
Or you basically said that anything you could do, I could do better.
You can't.
But anyway, stop it. Anyway, so one thing, I would go to Kai's and we'd all get the SingStar out, and if we didn't have the song, he would soon get it for you. And it was just a blast of a time. It was awesome. The game had no real decent storyline aspect. Trust me, I tried. But it was just great times. I remember things like playing hide and seek with a dog in a cornfield. It's great. Me and my mates would go to this cornfield where it would grow much bigger than you were, and then my mate Stuart would let his dog loose, and he would have to try and find us. It was the most fun you could have for zero. So my question is to you guys: what are your nostalgia? What do you miss from TVs or comics or games or just memories of the past?
Super Soldiers.
Super Soakers.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I think for me, I mean, definitely the classic video games of the 90s. I mean, I grew up on Super Nintendo mainly, and I used to play that thing out all the time. In fact, I played it so much, it's probably why it ended up dying on me in the first place. But I used to be a huge Super Metroid fan. In fact, if you ask me today, Super Metroid is arguably still my favorite game ever made.
See, over here, and I'm not sure about the rest of England, but definitely Nintendo and Sega was kind of like Northern Ireland for the Protestants and the Catholics, or rather the islands.
Yeah.
You know, it was like, I had Sega, my next door neighbours had Nintendo, that was it. If you owned one, you did not get the other. You were allowed a Game Boy.
I remember, I was after that, so I grew up on the PS1 era.
Yes, because you were born in 1996.
Yeah, so I never got like the Nintendo Super.
Sure, you're talking to us old men.
Look, I remember the first game I remember playing on the PS1 was Lilo and Stitch's Grand Adventure. That tells you how young I was when I owned it.
Oh god, the games that came out on the PS1. Do you remember James Bond games on the PS1, Kai?
Oh
yeah!
Great games.
Sorry. Well,
I just like enthusiastic you came about the Bond games.
I don't know. I love James Bond games, right? My nostalgia is also about games, but television programs. I mean, how are you? I mean, okay, Super Nintendo, right? I grew up with the N64 primarily, but before that, before I was really into games, I grew up on the SNES. My sister gave me a SNES, and you know, the beginning of The Legend of Zelda, A Link to the Past, the very first Zelda game I played, it comes on with a trinkling sound, and this big Triforce comes up on the screen, and I get a heart. Hang on, that's not bad. My heart does some sort of skipping beat.
Well, did you just say what I think you said?
I said heart, but it.
No, but but if you think that, it's like so suitable considering what Legend of Zelda's about.
Alright, I've got a hard on. Let's leave it at that. Right, so, next, moving on.
But that's got nothing to do with Link.
No, it's Zelda. No.
That's a Zelda thing.
But anyway,
princess.
There was that, and then there was these TV shows I used to watch when I was little. For example, there was one that called Going Round the Twist. And it was about these people in Australia lived in a lighthouse, and it had the best song ever. Have you ever?
Strange things happen when you're going round.
Exactly, and that's.
I remember an episode where the kid in that one, you know, the kid that was in everything at that time with the curly hair.
Yeah.
The guy, and there was this weird thing in the attic of the lighthouse thing, or whatever it was, which would duplicate everything, but would create it to mirror version. So he put some money. So he put some money in, but he kept getting the reverse out. So he put the reverse slot in. So he ended up having all this money. And then on his bed, he just had a pile of reversed money.
No, I know, right? How cool! I know.
And again, Tyler's going, "What the fuck?"
No, I'm with Tyler on this one.
As a man. I see, big, yeah.
See, my generation have a similar show, but for us it's called either The Tower or Escape the Tower or something like that.
Escape the Tower or something like that.
Yeah, it's
I honestly thought you were going to say Animals for some reason,
Don't even mention that show to me.
Okay.
It's a horrible show.
Tyler, I feel so sorry for you, man.
No, it's all good, you know. I'm actually having fun kind of getting insight into what you like because, you know, growing up in kind of a different part, I mean, I guess I kind of grew up on a lot of kind of different things, so.
Yeah.
Do you know what I miss my goddamn rattle.
You miss your rattle?
Yeah, I lost it one day and I have no idea where it is. If anyone out there listening knows where my rattle is, I believe...
Plug the show for missing items. I had a duck for 12 years. I used to sit with my thumb in my mouth and sniff stuff.
Did you say you used to sit and suck on a duck?
I did, yes. I'm sorry. It was my little thing. It was called Ducky Waddle. And if anyone...
I thought you meant you actually caught a duck and just went...
No, it was a stuffed duck. Not a real stuffed duck. Oh, you know what I mean?
It was a duck, alright?
Okay.
Anyway, okay.
It's okay, it's okay.
I'm trying to think of any games. See, when I was growing up...
Block.
Me and my brother Paul, or Drew now as he's called, would design our own games on the Amstrad. You remember the Amstrad, guys? put a cassette tape in.
I'm actually not even familiar with it.
You're not well, honestly, right? Basically, you could create your own programs if you got a book which was literally as big as the Bible,
Okay.
and it had all sorts of coding in.
That
And
had a better storyline.
we would create our own game programs and then install them on the cassette. We'd get to play them. Of course, all Paul would ever do was create programs that would make the computer just say Steven smells over and over again in different ways. Because he's a bastard. An utter bastard of the highest bastardy wanking order.
I think this is one retro thing that we can all sit and reminisce about. It's not copyrighted, Steve. I've checked it out, so you're quite all right. But here we go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's dead! No! This thing's been with me for... Doesn't matter. Ignore that. Ignore it.
Okay.
I have a question. I have a question for you all.
What?
Who loves orange soda?
Kale loves orange soda.
Is it true?
Mm-hmm. I do.
And now I can die happy.
Not a big fan.
Yeah, well. Oh, you've angered Adam. You've angered the little munchkin. You've angered Penny Fun.
Somebody call love.
We know what else I'm nostalgic about, and I think you guys can relate. The old days of wrestling.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there are some things because have to be kept in the past. Hulk Hogan. Oh, I've offended the soul in me.
He can stay in the...
No. Hulk Hogan should be kept in the past. He should be kept in a coffin.
He's so close as well. He's so close.
I know. Any day now. Wrestling could be liberated from the creative clause contracting bucket. But
The worthless piece.
yeah. But I got into wrestling just as the Monday Night Wars were starting, right? And that was my period of time. I remember Shawn Michaels. I remember the antics of Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock getting in there. I remember Jericho's debut and all that jazz. It was just a lot of, wow, that was a great time for wrestling, and for wrestling, as I call it, because I'm a big fan of the actual technical skill of wrestling,
Oh, yeah. Well, the first wrestling event that I remember ever getting was it was WWF Royal Rumble 1999. I remember it was the first one.
Wow.
Was that when Kane I was about to say, was that the Royal Rumble when Kane dominated? Hang on a minute, that's every Royal Rumble.
Yeah,
ever.
pretty much. Kane's pay-per-view is the Royal Rumble. That's his time to shine.
Oh, yeah.
By the way, we're down to 4 minutes.
Oh, cool. So it's alright. We're talking about nostalgia. Nostalgia's cool. But I'm trying to think of other things, like especially in the American. In fact, let's talk about some things we're glad are over and done with.
Cool.
The first thing I'm glad is over and done with is Big Brother.
It's back. It's come back on Channel 5.
That doesn't count.
What do you mean?
Channel 5 doesn't count.
Channel 5 is not a channel.
Do you know what Channel 5... Well, basically, Channel 5 used to be like the American election a few years back, all Bush and Gulf, right?
but it had Home and Away on, and I liked Home and Away.
Screw your Home and Away.
Why did you like Home and Away?
Because actually, it was good. It was. So was EastEnders and Coronation Street.
So basically, you had attractive actresses.
Look. Okay.
What were you doing when you got bold as hell?
But other things I'm glad are no longer around are things like... to be honest with you, there's a lot of Saturday morning programs that I'm glad aren't around now.
Boy.
Kilroy. Oh God, Kilroy. Thank God. I'm glad that you see, Jerry Springer. I don't know if Jerry Springer still goes on in America, but I know for a brief time he brought it over and did Jerry Springer UK. And on behalf of the UK, Tyler, I'd just like to say fuck you for that.
I used to love that show until I actually kind of watched a little bit more into it and found out how scripted it was, and then after that I kind of lost respect for the show.
Yeah,
I lost respect for the show when they got people on it.
Yeah. Just Jerry Springer, just oh God.
I was preparing a rant for show a couple of weeks back, and I had nothing to rant about. I was like, I've got nothing. So I watched about 10 minutes of Jeremy Kyle, and I was set.
Yeah, Jeremy Kyle.
Well, let's not rant about that.
It's not really nostalgia, so I'll avoid that one.
Things I'm glad are in the past.
Yeah.
For the PS1, the Spider-Man game.
What? That's like the best Spider-Man game ever!
It is Spider-Man, though.
Spider-Man was the worst superhero ever, and I'm including Aquaman.
Oh, come on.
Would you be just an Aquaman?
He may not be the best, but he's certainly not the worst.
Spider-Man is crap.
He's the one that I love.
I'll give you that.
Of all the superheroes, he is in my top 5 of most 8 superheroes of all time.
Really? Wow.
His superpower was throwing great gear out of his hand.
But what do you want him to be called? The Wank Tank?
Yes. It would have at least been music.
But anyway, other things like I'm trying to think of a record. Things that I'm glad aren't around anymore.
I love it, Joe.
Sabrina the Teenage Witch. I'm glad that ended because it was down a bad road.
It was a good show. I loved Salem.
Yeah, Salem was a funny cat.
He was the best. I want Salem as a cat so bad.
Yeah, I could never get rid of.
I like Coronation Street, Home and Away, Sabrina the Teenage Witch, and I like Spider-Man.
Yes, but you also like sex with women, so you're fine.
Oh.
I'll tell you one thing. I'm glad ended in the 90s. I know I'm going to get a lot of hate for this. Grunge music.
Grunge music. No, I'm with you on that.
I'm with you.
Agreed. It's a unanimous agreement.
You won't get hate from us with grunge music, man.
Yeah. You're fine on that one. You're fine on that one. But there are like Vanilla Ice. Yeah. Bye. Yeah. I actually watched a video with it was Vanilla Ice's ripping off Under Pressure.
Yeah.
And basically
Freddie Mercury, we'll steal your music and make it.
Yeah, people in the video said, "Can you believe that that Queen stole this from him?"
I didn't steal it. The original beat went dick 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 dick. My beat went dick 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 dick.
About a 20-minute mark of that. I'll basically finish this off by saying, there's a lot of things that have come and gone. Some things we missed, some things we didn't. But who knows? Maybe some of the things that we love will be great, or maybe some things that we do love deserve to be ended. Heart attack.
Or fingertips.
Well, that means it's now time for Kai Shepherd. And Kai Shepherd, what are you going to be talking about?
Right. Well, my rant today is about a group in America. They call themselves the Westboro Baptist Church.
Okay, so before you continue, we're going to give you the countdown. So, Adam?
I'm really lucky. I want to hear this.
Okay, so I'm giving the countdown.
In 2 and
2. Go.
That means go.
All right. So, Westboro Baptist Church, they are an independent church stood away from Catholic, Protestant, evangelical, Jewish, or any major Christian-like teachings. It's admitted from both the Vatican's point of view and the Westboro Church. Neither of them want to be affiliated with each other. So they're commonly described as these days from us normal folk as a hate group. The group was started by Fred Phelps. He's the head of this church, and it's mostly filled with his family members, although not exclusively. Another head member of this church is Shirley Phelps, who oddly enough is an attorney. This will become more apparent when we get further into what happens with them. So, this group shot into infamy in 1998 when this group consisting of around 40 members have gone on a national and international rampage since then. And basically what happened in 1998 was I'll talk about the incident first. First of all, there was something about a case with a guy called Matthew Shepard, who was murdered. And if you're not familiar with the case, he was tortured and beaten to death by 2 men who had lured him to his demise because of his homosexuality. Now, Fred Phelps, who was an active member of the church at the time, he's not now because he's like a figurehead of the church. He went there with his family and they picketed at the funeral of Matthew Shepard, who had been on life support for 2 weeks, but they finally turned off the machine because he was too badly wounded. And they picketed with signs such as "No Tears for Queers" and "Fag Matt, in hell. This picked up so much attention, it has launched them in infamy across the world, and now they're having a rampage across the whole of Earth in different ends of it, and you probably heard them somewhere. But the whole thing is they have an anti-gay message, and it's become more thought out as time's gone on, and yet it's become so much more jaded. Their main stance is that being gay is against the word of God. Man shall not lie with man, is quoted from the Bible. And it's what they throw out quite commonly as their defence. And anyone who is to fight for a country that supports any sexuality opposed to heterosexuality, so if any country that supports anything other than heterosexuality is doomed to go to hell, the country that supports it is doomed. Everyone who doesn't support the church are going to hell. Newer signs that this church has done include things like God hates fags, God hates Jews, you hate your kids, obey or perish, God hates Mexico, thank God for dead soldiers, thank God for IEDs, which, if nobody knows, are hidden bombs that kill most of the military force these days. Fags are worthy of death. Thank God for the tsunami, and by this they're referring to the 2004 tsunami that killed over 230,000 people in 14 countries. Their stance on that was because of the fact that if God wanted them to die, then they deserved to die. They were doing something wrong. They shouldn't have been on this earth because of the fact that they were living their lives wrong, which is why God wiped it out like in Noah's flood, apparently. Right, so now we've got exactly what they're like out the way. I feel that these homophobic, hate-mongering, reckless, imbecilic, infamous, disrespectful, cowardly, shameful, fucking dictatoring, fucktardic, disgusting scumballs with no morals need to be stopped, and right now. It's gone on for too long by someone who was all out of bubblegum. He needs to come here and he needs to kick some ass. Some Westboro fucking ass. My main problems with these guys is their anti-gay message, okay? Of course it is. That is their biggest thing. But not only that, anti-patriotism. Now, okay, that isn't such a big problem for me, but it is up there. I mean, why disrespect your country so much? I mean, I've got a few issues with my own country, but I wouldn't go out on a limb like that. Their disrespect for not only entire races, which is how God made us, separated us with races, but they've got disrespect for the entire human race, misquoting and making the Bible as construed as possible. They also brainwash their kids. You'll see on many shows kids standing there and saying, fags deserve to die. You're a fag enabler. They're going to hell. They're going to burn. They've sinned their entire lives. These are 5-year-old kids. I didn't even know what the word fag was until I was about 11 or 12, and even then I didn't think it was... It's just crazy. I mean, these people, not only because obviously news reported on them picketing at this poor guy's funeral, but they also picket at soldiers' funerals who fight for the country, and they think that God has killed them for fighting for the country, so they stand at these funerals and they make sure the families know why their children are dead, and that it is the parents' fault. They blame the parents for bringing them up wrong, for making them fight for a country that is wrong. And, since then they've been on TV shows like Tyra Banks, for example, and she had an interview. I mean, I don't know what you think of Tyra Banks. I personally think she's in the wrong industry, but she's an awesome woman. And she was sitting there and she was really trying to understand what exactly this family, this group were trying to get across. And what they had is they had Shirley Phelps, the daughter of Fred Phelps, who's an attorney. She was on with her two daughters, who were 17 and 18 at the time. And she's saying to them, why do you believe? What do you believe? I mean, it seems a bit crazy to me. And she's saying, why don't you make it stop sounding so jaded, Shirley goes. She says, you are a fag enabler. And obviously, I mean, Tyra Banks isn't going to take that. She's in an industry filled with people who have a lot of homosexuality around them. So she goes, I'm a fag enabler. I'm a fag enabler, am I? And she gets up, she's just shouting at them, and she has to walk off and come back when she's calmed down, because she's trying to be professional. But just the things that they're saying are so angry. Tyra Banks isn't the only one who's had to, rise from a professional point of view. People like Jeremy Kyle, who, okay, in the past he has lost his cool many a times, and you know, you may hate him, you may love him. I personally think
this is the one episode where you and I all agree.
You know, but right there, he showed them exactly what for. He stood back and he let them have their say, which, to be fair, as we all know, they want to be heard. They want to get a message out there, so they don't care that people are disrespecting, as long as somebody somewhere will hear that message and go, oh yes, they're right. I know that the news team's given it wrong, but they're right. So Jeremy Kyle stood back. He let them talk. He let them shout. And he goes, right, okay, fair enough. So he says, I don't agree with your message. And he goes, but, you know, I'm trying to get why you want to do it. So he brings on a priest on the show, and he brings some psychologists, and all these people to try and get it on. And the priest says that they're misquoting the Bible, that they're taking the word of God wrong, okay? And they're saying, no, they're not having any of it. And because Jeremy Kyle's literally trying to fucking mediate with these people, he goes to them, he goes, look, listen to this priest, he's been ordained by the church. He knows what he's on about. He's been brought up on the same book you have. And what does the lead guy go? I think it's the lead guy. He might not be, but it was one of the Phelps family anyway. He stands up. He's quite old. And he goes, isn't it true that you called your wife a prostitute on the radio? Something that happened 10 years ago in Jeremy Kyle's life that has no relevance. And it just shows you the stature of these people.
Yeah.
Jeremy Kyle had them banged to rights. And by the end of it, he just couldn't get through to them, and he sent them off. And there was some other thing on about a model, Kate Moss, afterwards, which I didn't give a shit about. But that was a really good show. I really felt like I agreed with Jeremy Kyle on every point he was saying.
Right.
It'd be on CNN and Panorama.
That's 10 minutes of pure ranting, dude. That's like, wow.
There you go. But
wow.
Show them for what they are.
Yeah. Tyler, your thoughts on the Westboro Baptist Church?
Well, I mean, you know, I have and before I kind of get into it, I do want to start off by saying that, you know, I'm usually not one to judge other people's views in a negative manner. I'm usually very respectful about what others think, and I want to acknowledge that before I say this. But the few problems that I do have with that is, number one, we've had a lot of scientific research that's gone around, a lot of medical research, you know, saying that there's I mean, a lot of it is genetically predetermined, the orientation that one has. I mean, there's research that supports this. That's one problem I have with the fact that I believe people hold these very kind of, no offense, ignorant views on a certain kind of subject. And I mean, number two, in the country that I live in, I mean, there are very when it comes to, you know, expressing your personal opinions and whatnot. And I don't think it's right to be doing that sort of thing. I don't think it's right to try to dictate how other people should feel about a subject. But unfortunately, you know, we live in a society now, I know at least I do, where there's very few things preventing people from speaking out the way they do.
Yeah, I mean, my major gripe comes down to I could talk about. I briefly talked about the Christian idea of anti-homosexuality on a previous episode I did, when I talked about a letter I'd received from the Roman Catholic Church about the proposal of gay marriage and all that jazz. So I've explained quite a lot of it, but I'm going to try to brief up what I said the last time, or maybe clarify a lot of it. My major problem comes down with the fact that, let's say that the reason you are against homosexuality is because you're Christian, and you think the Bible says so. But then, from that point on, you've got to explain how the Bible is accurate, considering the Bible literally lies. For example, in the Bible, I believe it's the Gospel of Luke, it tells that Mary and Joseph had to return to the city of Bethlehem for the census. This isn't true. There's only one reason why anyone would want you to believe that they had to return there, is that's to fulfill the prophecy that the Messiah would be born in Bethlehem. Right? There is absolutely no truth whatsoever to the idea of, everyone had to return to their country of origin for the census. It would make no sense. I mean, for example, what if I lived in France? Or when the French do their census, I would be doing it in France, because that's where I live. Right. That's not how it works. But, for the fact that you have to return to your place of birth or origin for the census is ridiculous. It's not true. There's no historical evidence to back this up whatsoever. So, what's this got to do with homosexuality? Well, if you believe, or if you're stating that you hate homosexuality on the basis that the Bible tells you so, well, what about all the other bullshit that the Bible tells you?
Well, I mean, you're exactly right, too. I mean, and I think the problem that I have kind of going off of that is, if you think about it, there are not very many unbiased sources for absolutely anything. I mean,
yeah.
You look at a history book, you're going to find biased views. You look on a news channel, you're going to find biased views. I think what makes somebody able to not only adapt to society in a healthy way, but able to overcome the problems with it and possibly change it for the better is being able to, think for themselves about, maybe this is wrong, maybe we should be able to change this. And I think as a society as a whole, if we aren't able to do that and we don't really want to find the motivation to think for ourselves, then I don't believe we're going to be able to better society any more than it is.
Yeah.
Well thought. What about you, Adam? Your thoughts?
Right, we all need to grow up and just realise that if you're of legal age, you can have sex with whoever you want. Case closed. Move on.
Well, that's put rather briefly. Awesome. I like it. But yeah, the question is, how do we tackle the Westboro Baptist Church?
I don't think the amendment in the American Constitution, it says free speech, right, should cover this, because it goes against other laws. It does. It goes against laws such as, homophobia is actually, you're going out of your way to be a hate group is actually a crime. Yet they're described in it and they're allowed to do what they want because they claim they're allowed to say what they like under the Constitution.
Yeah, the thing is, though, we have to, if we want free speech as a race and as a species, we have to understand that we're going to hear things we don't agree with.
Well, no, of course.
We have to have the responsibility to choose what we listen to and what we don't.
Mm.
Yeah, but the problem is...
But this causes... It's a case of listening to it. It's being forced down our throats.
Yeah.
And it causes more hurt than,
But what I'm about to say is there was something that my old head of year used to teach me, Mr. Matt Mee. So basically, my freedom of speech ends at your fist. So basically, I can take my fist and push it as far as before your face, before any part of your body. That to me is like freedom of speech. I can talk as much as I want, and you can talk as much as you want, as long as I don't impact on your freedom of speech, and you don't impact on my freedom of speech. And when you are forming a hate group to silence and eradicate another group, that's not freedom of speech. That is an attack. And that is different. That is declaring war. Freedom of speech is saying that I hate gay people. What they are doing is actively trying to stamp it out. There is a massive difference between the two. It's like if somebody were to say to me, what do you think about a Nazi spewing out all his beliefs? A Nazi can spew out whatever beliefs he wants. If he has a right to speak in public about what he hates, by all means, let him. But the minute he tries to actively stop someone from being
kill them, we go to war with them. See, my problem is, I'm sure all of the things that have happened on planet Earth, right? We have let so many countries fall into disrepair, fall into, poverty and all sorts, and we just let, we sit there and go, well, we're another country, we've got our own problems and stuff. if we can just let little things like that slide, right?
Yeah.
Why can't we just destroy the Westboro Baptist Church? Is it really possible to think, America might slip and press the nuclear fucking destruct button?
Well, here's the thing, right? Let's look at some of the facts here, right? So, hypothetical situation. What would happen if, like, say, a tornado hit the Westboro Baptist Church?
Happiness!
Would they say it was an act of God? But here's some facts, right? There are some advantages to having homosexuality, and to all this, right? The first point, think about it. One of the major problems we have is overpopulation. I'm just saying. Just saying, that might help. No, but who am I? I'm just the guy that kidnaps children.
Again with the children kidnapping.
Well, I've got to carry on the theme from the last show I was on. But
no, it's child abduction.
Yeah, I sell them on to happy people. No, but the Westboro...
Madeline McCann had gone.
No, I had nothing to do with that one.
Never mind.
I had nothing to do with that one. I got beaten with that one. But, I mean, the whole hating of another thing. I mean, why bother hating?
Yeah, I do actually want to know why people hate people who are gay.
Yeah, I mean, what is the ultimate point?
I debate the fact that it's wrong.
But here's the thing, right? Their point is, God said so. Well, if God's already killing the people that he doesn't like, then why should we worry about hating them?
Most of them seem to be African for some reason. Maybe God's a racist.
Yeah. But the fact is that God seems to be doing a bang-up job killing people that he doesn't like with all the tsunamis and the tornadoes and the hurricanes.
He doesn't need your backing help.
Yeah, exactly. Basically, what they're saying is that by going around and hating people, hating gay people, they're saying that God is not powerful enough to deal with his own fucking problems on his own.
They're getting in his way. They're calling God a coward.
No, but they're kind of not saying that because their point is that, soldiers are dying for fighting for a country who are gay. The people who are still alive who are gay will be punished soon enough.
Yes. Well, one like the last minute of it, so, I'll leave the last minute up to you.
Alright, so basically we have this problem. We have this group. You've heard what they're like. You've heard what they promote. You heard the brainwashing antics of this fucktard, a lot of fucktards, right? What you've got to think of is go onto their website and look at what they've got to do and blame them for it. Spread the word, but spread it right. They're spreading it out there so people can hear it. You've got to spread it out there so they can not hear it.
You want a bullshit dampening field.
Exactly. So get out there, go on to www.godhatesfags.com. I'm being serious, that is their website.
Jesus Christ, I never thought I'd hear this on Shout.
And go and look. Go into there. Go have a look at all their stuff. And kill them all.
A message of violence to promote peace. How
Chewie agrees.
How George Bush.
But isn't fighting for... Never mind, I've already made that argument.
Well, that was an interesting rant. A lot of heat in that one. And now we get to move on to an even more controversial topic. Yes, one more controversial than that last topic. Adam, what are you going to be talking about?
That lovely, happy topic known as the death penalty.
Yes, we're talking about the death penalty, ladies and gentlemen.
Ooh,
For 20 minutes.
Oh, here we
And
go.
Adam,
Yes.
I can't do a very good Chewbacca. Mine's like, brrr, but that's the best I can do.
It's in the back of your throat.
I don't care. I'll quack when your 20 minutes are up, okay?
Yes, I got a duck!
So, Adam,
Yes.
your 20 minutes start in 3, 2, 1.
Hello, people. Now, being a 15-year-old is rather fun. It's also a killer, but it's fun sometimes. I mean, you get to play on the Xbox most of the time. You get to go around playing shooting games, playing zombie games. So. And it can become all too easy for people of my generation to start kind of trivializing violence. Also, we hear. But I'm here because I am against the death penalty for pretty much every reason out there, and because my morals tell me so. I don't think there is any real reason for the death penalty to exist. If you ask me, there are only two situations where it is okay to kill another human being. in war, or if you are in immediate danger. And I mean immediate danger. There are many arguments for why the death penalty should exist, and I'm going to see if I can tackle as many of them as possible in the 20 minutes that I have. And the first one I want to tackle is the fact that the death penalty is so-called a deterrent. You'll hear it a lot, people saying that the death penalty it strikes fear into the hearts of criminals, it stops them killing and raping, and no, it doesn't. In fact, I've got some statistics here for you. The murder rates over the United States of America, and I do apologize, this is from a while back, in 1999, per 100,000 people, the murder rate in death penalty states was 5.5. The murder rate in non-death penalty states was 3.9. In 2004, the murder rate per 100,000 people in death penalty states was 5.1. In non-death penalty states, it was 2.9. Basically, what these are saying is that in the places where the death penalty exists, there are actually more murders. That is pretty much the opposite of what a deterrent is.
Mm-hmm.
Also, there are 3 reasons someone will kill. 3 main motivations: profit, passion, and compulsion. Killing for profit is people like Al Capone, drug dealers and gangsters who kind of see it more as just a means to an end. They don't fear the death penalty because they don't think they're ever going to get caught. It's not about being scared of the death penalty, it's about getting the job done. It's not going to stop them. Passion is the heat of the moment, you know, like you come home, you find your lover cheating on you with, I don't know, your best friend or something, and you want to kill him. That is a crime of passion. It's heated. You can't stop it because you don't fear anything at that point. It builds up until you break his neck. And then you've got compulsion. This is where a person feels they have to kill. Real evil douchebags like Jeffrey Dahmer, Son of Sam, John Wayne Gacy, people like these, Charlie Manson. They're not going to fear it because it's not something they can control. They have to kill. It's in their nature. So it's not going to stop them. The death penalty is not a deterrent. It's something there that is claimed to be a deterrent but isn't.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't work. Of course, there are more arguments for it, and I'm simplifying all it down as well, and I'll grant you that. Another argument here is that it's efficient and painless. It's not. People say it's designed to be better for the person being killed, more ethical. It's not.
No, if you're fucking dying, it isn't.
Yeah. It is designed to be easier for the killer. Here's how it works. And I've got it written down how it works. You are given 5,000 milligrams of sodium pyethenol, which is an anesthetic, basically. It puts you to sleep for around 30 seconds. You are then given 100 milligrams of pancuronium bromide. This is used to stop your lungs and diaphragm so you stop breathing. Then you are given potassium chloride, which initiates a heart attack. It sounds so peaceful. You're out cold, you stop breathing, then you've got a heart attack. It seems quick and painless, and on face value, you'd be right. However, a medical journal published stated that 43 out of 49 people had too little sodium pyethenol. What that meant was that 43 out of 49 people weren't properly sedated.
Yeah.
They were awake for everything. 21 of those had too little of the pancuronium bromide. Therefore, they were awake. They seemed to be paralyzed. In fact, they were paralyzed. So they underwent loss of breathing and a heart attack whilst looking peaceful.
Basically, created an illusion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were awake for the full thing. This method is not clear, it's not a high enough standard to put down dogs. And we are using this on humans and claiming it's okay because it's ethical. There is nothing ethical about it. There is nothing ethical about killing another human being when they can be properly restrained or locked up somewhere.
Well, it's double fucking standards, isn't it? I mean, you've got on one hand, you've got them saying, "You killed a human, we're gonna give you something awful back. We're gonna be just as bad as you, but we're gonna kill you." Well,
yeah, it is the paradox of the death penalty. You can't avoid it.
My view on it is a very simple one, right? How are they getting justice, right? How are they actually getting active justice by being murdered? If they were to get real justice, they would be locked away for the rest of their lives for killing one person. Now, depending on how comfortable that stay is would obviously depend on the manner that they have killed this person or people. So, in the case of where someone's killed 32 people absolutely grisly and in a painful, horrible way, then he would have the worst kind of prison that you could possibly hope for, filled with rapists and all sorts of people. That would be a punishment worthy, but some sort of death, it gets them out of quick. And if you notice, serial killers and child rapists and people like that, look at Frank West. He killed himself inside of prison early out of his punishment. Now, if you want a real punishment, you make them stay in there for years. You make them think about what they've done. You force them to live a life with the consequences that they have given themselves. They make a choice. They have to live up to it. It's the same with the 5-year-old who breaks his dad's favourite vase, mum's favourite vase, there we go. He has to live with the consequences of a mum crying every day for 20 years because it had his grandma's ashes in it. Oh,
Kai, whilst I agree with you, Blessum Stevens been dragged to speak for the past 5 minutes.
Here's something I want to bring up, right? First of all, Adam, I'm sure you'll have information about how many innocent people have been sent to death row. Here's the problem. Death row and capital punishment isn't a tool of justice, it's a tool of vengeance. And a tool of cost efficiency. You see, here's the thing. There are only two true motivations for the death penalty. And if you're guessing that one of them is to keep the world safer, then slap yourself in the face with a machete. Here's the thing about the death penalty, right? That I know a lot of people who are well-meaning who agree with it. For example, my fiance. She served. So she was trained by the military. She went into basic training. She's had past instances where we've talked, and she's made her feelings very clear. And I'm very much against it. Now, I'm not against punishment. I'm not saying, everyone could be rehabilitated. I think some people should be locked away for the rest of their miserable lives. But I don't agree with the death penalty because there are only two true motivations. One is cost. People don't want their taxes to be put towards building prisons and looking after prisoners and all this jazz. So they're getting the good life in there. That's the general cry you hear. Why are we wasting money on criminals? Well, unfortunately, you don't want to put money into hospitals, schools, your general local area, the general economy. You don't even pay taxes in the first place. So shut your fucking mouth, because you're just being hypocritical now. The fact is, if somebody said to you, how would you like it if you didn't have to pay a tax at all? I bet you would go, oh, absolutely. And you wouldn't give a fuck about the health service, about the police force, about your local environment, about your schools, your standard of education, etc., etc. So, it's ridiculous. It's a ridiculous point. Now, for those who are saying, well, it's just I don't like that part of my tax is going towards these prisons. Well, just remember, murderers aren't the only motherfuckers in prison. There are other people there, so either way, you'd be paying for prisons. And that amount of tax you're paying that's going towards prisons is still going to go towards prisons either fucking way. Now, that's cost. Now let's talk about the other motivation tool, revenge. Revenge is not justice. That's why we have the judicial court, i.e. the justice system. How many times has someone wronged you? Let's say, taking your partner. Fair enough. And you thought yourself, I want to kill the motherfucker.
Okay.
Oh, I seem to find myself thinking that a lot recently.
Yeah.
It's a hypothetical situation.
Or someone has hurt you. Someone has stolen from you. Let's take it to a childhood example, right? Maybe a kid took something that belonged to you, like a Kit Kat, an apple, a pencil case, a limited edition pair of Mickey Mouse thongs. I don't care. Let's just say they took something from you, and your immediate reaction was to beat the almighty living hell out of them. Equate that to the crime. Did the punishment fit the crime? No. Alright? So then people say, but if you kill one, you kill another, an eye for an eye. Well, here's the problem. When you take someone who is a serial burglar, right? They've broken into a dozen houses. You don't fucking go off on a stealing rant against them. We're not a society of like for like. We are about equating. There is a difference between equating and perfect symmetry. Okay? If someone is arrested for grievous bodily assault, they're sent to prison, and people go, okay, fine, lock him up. But we don't beat the living shit out of him. That would be like for like. We equate the punishment to the crime. The idea of jail, prison, incarceration, whatever you want to call it, is to keep them away from society, to keep society safe from them, whilst trying to rehabilitate them into being the most productive member of society they could be, to give them a chance to get back into society. Because here's the newsflash. Everyone bangs on about how, they never rehabilitate though, they never work. Well, quite obviously they fucking do. Because there are many people who have been, assaulters, people who have beaten up people, who've treated people badly, who've gone back into society and have been, contributing members of society, they've learned the error of their ways. Right? I'm not a sympathist for these people, or sympathizer, sorry. But you've got to understand that you can't just say kill the bastard as a solving your problems, like a solution to your problems. It doesn't make sense. So let's get back to the point I was about to bring up, which is people who are mistakenly sent to death row. And then that's when a lot of people, mainly from Texas, turn around and go, oh, that barely happens. Really? Look up the statistics. Look it up. I can't remember the number off the top of my head. Last time I read this was about a month ago. But the figures involved in the people who are wrongfully sent to death row are huge when you think about it. And put it this way, if you send one innocent person, think about this, one innocent person to death row and they're killed, your system's wrong.
Can I have my rant back, please?
Well, now we've got to find out. Now we've got to find out what Tyler's thoughts on it are.
Well, I wasn't even finished.
Well, I mean.
Continue.
What?
Yes, you.
Okay. No, I wanted to go back to the a point that you kind of made earlier too about how we can't really just retaliate in the way of kind of murder or something kind of drastic like that. And the reason why I want to go back to that is because, you were talking about kind of like a childhood example of, say, somebody did something really kind of heinous to you as a child, or even take like a more serious crime, for example, heavy assault.
Yeah.
Crimes you. And, as horrible as you think that person was for doing that, by retaliating against that an act of, essentially killing them, I mean, how much better of a person does that make you?
Exactly. I mean, Adam, did you have more to say on this?
Yeah, I did. A little bit going back to my original point about the way they kill people.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, the millenniums ago. I wasn't finished on that.
Millennia.
I'd like to point out the guy who invented that system of killing was a guy by the name of Dr. Carl Brent. Fairly upstanding name, sounds like a recent physician. He was Hitler's personal physician. The man who created the lethal injection system that some states in America use was a Nazi. It's a Nazi idea, it's a Nazi method, it's a Nazi killing machine. People are implementing this in modern times.
You realise that means we've gone through 2 topics where we've mentioned Nazis.
Yep.
Wow.
Obviously, we don't like them. It's obvious.
I swear to God,
please! Anyway, continue, Adam.
Yeah. At the end of the day, personal pain and biblical tradition are not enough reasons to kill. You only have 2 reasons to kill. War and immediate danger. And war, to be honest, I understand why war happens. I don't necessarily agree with it, because to be honest, I think fighting for peace is a bit like having sex for virginity. And then...
I like it.
Thank you. And then you got the immediate danger thing. Now, here's the thing, right?
Yep.
If I am in immediate danger, if I have a nice Willy Minion coming at me,
yep,
you can bet I am taking my boot, driving it across his face so hard he has no mouth.
Well, it's the idea of the last resort, isn't it?
But at the same time, right, these people who go like, we don't want to fund the prisons because it's too expensive. Here's the deal, right? Feed them bread, feed them water, so that they're alive. Take away the TVs, give them a room. There you go.
Yeah,
bread, water, room.
You give them the basic human rights.
Yeah.
You know, bread, water, and all that jazz. You know, and
if you resort to basic behaviour, you go back to basic tools.
Yeah. My favourite argument, by the way, that I've heard about that, I heard it about 7 months ago, was there are people who are homeless who have a worse quality of life than prisoners, and my response generally is, well, why don't you do something about it? You know, if you are that upset by it, why don't you get something said? You know, why don't you petition it? And then obviously people don't want to do the work for it.
Yeah.
There are a lot of homeless people who do commit crimes just so they can be incarcerated because they get a much better life inside. You know, they even get an education. God fucking bless them. You know, but it's decided that there's a lot of bullshit behind. I think ultimately it comes down to it's easier. And the reason it's easier is because people don't have to carry it out. There are professionals that get to do it for you. So you get a cheaper alternative. And just remember that in those last moments, and by the way, this is a very this is a very pathetic point I'm going to make, but it's for a pathetic argument. Here's the thing. The last day of their life, they get the last meal, they get all this stuff and all that. Usually that is a better life than a lot of, first of all, homeless people and a lot of other prisoners get. You know? This death penalty bullshit, honestly, you're giving them an easy ride out of town. And quite frankly, you lower yourself when you decide that it's just easier to get rid of this, you know? Because it's like if my dog... It's like if my dog bites me and I can train my dog to not bite me or bite other people again, that's great. If I have a situation where a dog keeps doing it, I'm the kind of guy that either goes, all right, well I'm either going to take you to people who can look after you, I'm going to keep you away, or I am going to have to keep you locked away or something like that. I'll sooner do that than fucking put an animal down.
Yeah.
Because I don't believe it would be ethical for me to take a life. I agree with you, Adam. Taking a life. If someone's coming into my house, right, and they've got a knife and they're coming, if I can disarm them, then that's what I'll do. But if I have no choice but to kill them, then that will be what I do.
Yeah.
So, Adam, you've got 50 seconds left on this
Here
one.
are my last two arguments. The first one being this. This is a really weak point as well, but think about this. The really tough guys, the CIA, FBI, M16, whatever you want to call them.
MI6.
Yes. They want the bad guys alive. They don't want them dead. They want them alive. Because there are many ways to get words out to people. They don't want them dead. And also, here is my final point, okay? Whatever your reason... I'm going to stand up for this and you...
Okay.
Whatever your reason for supporting the death penalty, here is what you're talking about. Killing a second human! That is not what you do. It's morally bad, okay?
You go another 15 seconds.
Do I?
Yes.
Fair enough. Oh,
So, Adam, you finished on 20 minutes.
yeah, sorry. Yes! Yes!
There you go.
Yes!
Wow. Okay, then.
Ah.
That was like a 10-second Chewbacca sound effect.
Indeed.
The vein in the side of your neck.
Indeed it was.
Indeed
it was.
Now we're moving away from those most dark of topics and moving on into hopefully a bit of a brighter one. Because we're moving on to the last topic of the night by Tyler Sanford. And Tyler, what are you talking about?
Well, I'm definitely, as you said, moving away from the darker topics that we've been discussing, and I realize what I'm about to bring up doesn't really relate to a lot of people, but I am going to bring it to the forefront.
That's perfectly fine.
Dude, I just ranted about, the death penalty. No.
Yeah. So what's your topic, dude?
Being a musician for over 8 years, I've had the opportunity to learn a lot of different things and discover a lot of different things, not just in the craft of writing and performing music, but also in the business and the firm. And the question I was in is the music industry of today easier for the musician as opposed to the industry even the reason I bring it, which might sound obvious at first glance, but is more of maybe a complicated task of looking at it, is while you definitely have things such as easier accessibility to kind of get your songs out the forefront. You definitely have less restrictions in regards to where you can put your music and where you can't. With that, I think comes kind of a backfire in a way. First of all, I'm going to mention the economy, specifically in the music business, which has drastically gone downhill in the just the last few years. And let me back that up with a statistic that, according to, and his name is Michael DeGusta from 2011. He posted a chart, actually called a band chart, and he kind of took away the analysis of it a little bit and broke it down. But according to him, the music industry is down 64% from its peak. Now, what that means is that the people in the industry, record labels, producers, whatever, can't afford the number of artists and everything that they could afford, back in those days. Now, obviously, the music industry now is looking for, people that will kind of help them get that money back that they have lost over the years. And, you obviously have your top formats, top 40, et cetera. And basically what the music industry today comes down to is, with the internet at the forefront and with brick and mortar kind of buildings taking a bad stance, you basically have a certain kind of music that is being promoted, being sought after, yet you have so many different acts and so much competition via the internet that it almost makes it virtually impossible for the independent music industry.
You just asked if there's a way to improve the industry for the new independent artists, yeah?
Correct.
Well, I personally think that with the music industry as it stands, say 20 years ago, bands were being picked up in clubs. These days, you have so many people applying to be a musician to major record labels and places like that. And that could be major in the charts or major in the alternative music realm. But either way, you've got so many applications, you don't find so many people scouting for music these days. So being an independent artist isn't that easy, but we do have easier methods of getting to there. But does that make it easier overall? I don't know. We've got things like YouTube. People like Lily Allen got found on YouTube. And, then you've got things like X Factor, where people like Leona Lewis was found. You've got things like that, but they weren't always independent artists. So your question, people want to be singers these days, where it would have been back in the 50s, back when swing was big and things like that. It's either you could sing or you couldn't. These days, so many people are in bands who can't sing, but yet they make good music because they play well. And that's like a disadvantage of it, really.
Well, in the modern day as well, though, I mean, we tend to warm to some degree to independent artists. Like, YouTube is the great forum. I mean, look at how far Justin Bieber got. As much as many of us don't like him, and quite frankly, I would quite happily strangle him to death with nothing but a fucking piece of wire and, whatever else I got my hands on. I don't like him. I don't think he's good, but there is a way you get there. But unfortunately, there's a four-lettered word which has become synonymous with success in the music industry for the independent artists. It's a 4-letter word. Anyone tell me what that word is?
Well, I mean, the only 4-letter word I'm thinking of would have an O-U-T after it, so I might be thinking of a different word than you are.
Yeah, the word is luck.
Luck, yeah. Okay.
Oh, I was thinking of something completely different.
Yeah.
Mine had 5 letters. And only put it
No. Luck is the biggest, because Justin Bieber was lucky, right? Fucking lucky.
How the hell does he an artist? I mean, his song is genuinely someone just saying, baby, baby.
Well, no, here's the thing, right? There's a perfectly rational explanation for it. You know, he is modern art in music form. Think about this. It might be in the Tate, I don't know which art museum it is. Kai, you might know this one, but there was a toilet seat that was worth millions. Right? And all it was a fucking toilet seat. Right, but this was in a fucking art museum. It's a toilet seat.
Okay.
Right? And it's worth a fuck ton of money. People love it. Then you got minimalism, where you've got it's actually in, I think it's called the Lang Museum in Newcastle. There's a picture of a dot. A dot. And this is considered art. Justin Bieber is that. He is a dot on a blank canvas, and everyone's going, ooh, that is so inspiring. It's so fantastic. Baby, fantastic. It's so fantastic. No, it's not. You know, for example, right? Justin Bieber here, you know, baby, over here. How lucky can one guy be? I kiss her and she kissed me. Join in. Like a sailor once said, is that a kick in the head? Right? Baby. Frank Sinatra would pimp slap that motherfucker all the way back to the 1920s.
So would Dean Martin, the guy who sang it, like a kick in the head.
Dean Martin. Hey, I'm no music expert, okay?
I suggest that what we do is
by the way, if we're going to go along that route, Adam said it was before. Was the swing not the 1940s, not the 1950s?
Swing was 30s and 40s. The 50s was rock and roll. Was rock and roll.
Rockabilly.
Yeah.
In 1950s.
I'm sorry, I'm a massive swing fan.
So fuck you. Fuck you correcting me, boy. Fuck you,
Swing
okay?
came around in the 1930s, but lasted for about 20 years.
So, yeah, even though my mistake was infinitely worse than yours, shut the fuck up, okay?
The thick? What? Dude, you're not doing well.
I will destroy you all. But anyway.
But
for the independent artist, it's really, I mean, I see loads of people on YouTube who I think are fucking fantastic, and then we get into an issue. See, the independent artists can't really use YouTube a lot these days, because of the copyright laws that have been brought out recently, and the ones that are just being enforced or amended recently, you know, the ones that allow you to take down a website if there's just one hint that they've got copyright material on there. Well, now, if an artist wants to do a cover of a song on YouTube, you see, the way it works, like, take Shout, right? We don't have copyrighted material on our show. Same with hashtag Total Markout, is the same with hashtag Shout. Yeah. We don't have copyright material. The theme for this show was written and performed by Adam. He wrote it, he performed it, he recorded it, right? The graphic is created by Reyes Cannon at cannonball.deviantart.com. He is our artist. He created that. I purchased the rights to it. That's fine. That can all go on. And it can go on YouTube, and I can monetize these videos because I own the copyrights to the stuff, or Adam owns the copyrights to the stuff, right?
Depending on which episode.
However, if I were to use, say, for example, Ain't That a Kick in the Head by Dean Martin, YouTube could take me down. So I could turn around and say, well, I won't monetize the video. Doesn't matter. If they wanted to, they could still take me down.
We're going to have to a full bit.
We'll get by. I'm sure we'll get away with it. But the point is, even now, people like YouTube are so jumpy at the idea of breaking copyright that they will take your motherfucking ass down quicker than you can say Jumping Jack Flash, you know?
Yeah.
So even YouTube is starting to become a poor medium for the independent artists. So right now, Kai, you mentioned the reality show, X Factor, Britain's Got Talent, America's Got Talent, Kuwait's Got Talent, North Pole's Got Talent. You know,
I can't believe it's not talent.
Yeah, you know, diet talent.
Diet Zero talent.
Yeah, decaffeinated talent.
And Deck.
And the Deck. No, they're no talents. But all these shows, right? And again, but here's the problem. I mean, Tyler could make it huge. Huge.
If you just partnered up with
yeah,
me.
No, could make it huge on America's Got Talent, you know. He can go on there, he could sing his song. My favourite song of all time by Tyler has to be, you know, While You're Gone. But he could go and sing that, but the second someone comes on the stage and says, well, my mother had no limbs and my dad was a hedgehog and I was raised by them and then they died and then I was brought up by 3 orphans or whatever, they're going to win even if they sound like Justin Bieber with a cold.
So Justin Bieber.
Well, that would be Rebecca Black, I suppose.
Oh,
but
God, that
the
wench.
point is, in America and Britain, we love the fucking sub story.
It's an insult to wenches.
So, Tyler, basically, kill your family, blame it on a woodpecker, and you'll be fine, you know?
See, the thing I think brought the downfall of the music industry. Oh yeah, it's crashed, hasn't it? Well, no, I think one of the reasons is people like that evil man Skrillex. Don't know whether you 3 know of the Skrillex man.
Did he even dubstep?
Skrillex is the man who is acting as the bridge between rock and dubstep.
There is no bridge between rock and dubstep. Let's just burn it down.
But here's the thing.
Burn it up! Burn it up! Burn it up!
This Skrillex guy, right? A lot of my friends hate this Skrillex guy.
Yeah.
Do you know what he does at a gig?
What?
This makes me weep for music.
Okay.
He gets on stage.
Yeah.
And presses play. All his stuff is done using like computers and keyboards and so that, and it is all dubstep with very little vocals in it, as from what I've heard. My friends are really into it, and fair enough to them. But I listen to that stuff, and I'm like, I remember a time when music made you feel something.
Yeah.
When music was about you felt bad, you felt good, whatever. You listen to music.
To be fair, you know, dubstep does make me feel. It makes me feel in pain.
It makes me feel that I don't want to live on this planet anymore.
Is it just me, or number one, do dubstep tracks sound the same? And sorry, is it just me, or does it sound like a robotic hedgehog being raped with a soldering iron?
Sonic the Hedgehog, Sonic. No, here's the deal. That is not music. Going blah 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 is not music.
Sorry, do that again.
Blah blah blah.
Sorry, I don't know why that makes.
Would you like me to make a dubstep track on that? Blah, noise and Chewbacca. Blah,
No.
blah, blah.
No. But,
I can do that,
but you were saying, Tyler?
So, as you guys were talking about, ending up on, American Idol, X Factor, going on, sites like YouTube to promote your music, even Daily Motion, which I don't even know if that's still used or not, but going on different venues like that to promote your music, it makes the industry now a lot more visual than it used to be, and because of that, I think a major challenge now is not even just having good music, but having a great marketable image, which I think at times can be even more important than having that high quality music. And I think if you don't have that great marketable image, for example, the kind of athletic, tall, thin girl that I think the American society has come to love, it makes it very hard to succeed in an entertainment industry like music.
Yeah, it's a shame because there's a lot of good talent out there who are just damn good at singing, and yet people will rather have spoon-fed shit given to them, Like, whoever's behind you must be having a glorious time. Yeah.
What she's having.
Yeah, but it's a shame because you get these shows, like, these talent shows, as you say, and a lot of it is... Obviously, there are some people whose dreams can come true on that show. Susan Boyle, Paul Pot, Leona Lewis.
The good Paul Pot.
Yes, the good Paul Pot, But obviously, it's a risky one because there's a lot of people who go on to win that show and we never hear from them again. I mean, for example, the winner of the last Britain's Got Talent, Jerry McDowell, Right now, Simon Cowell's dropped him from his record label, and the fact that Simon Cowell's sabotaging his entire fucking career. But, he basically didn't feel that he was powerful enough, so every track that Jack McDowell's in, he made the instrumentals overpower him. And it's like, turn the fucking instruments down, you fucking geniuses. But I think the music industry needs a lot of work. I think there's a lot that needs to change. But for guys like yourself, honestly, I think the only real way right now that it could be improved is by people being active about them. Like, people should be really actively supporting independent musicians, If they buy CDs off the internet, go buy the CDs off the internet, go buy their albums, show them around, pass them on to your friends. Play them at parties, when you're having a party, if the music's good enough for that, play it. When people ask, oh, who's that? You get to tell them all about the independent artists. You get to tell them all about that stuff. So that's really, I think, what it's got to be. People have got to be, the fans have got to be as active as the recording artists, because in any industry, without your followers, you're nothing.
No.
But we're on the last minute of this.
Jesus wouldn't have been anything without
Yeah.
Foster's.
Yeah. So we're pretty much at like the last minute and a half of it. So is there anything else you want to say about the topic there, Tyler?
Yeah, just to summarize, I think with the music industry the way that we have it now, we definitely have our, advantages, as far as being able to potentially reach out to more people, and being able to have more outlets to be able to. So, basically with the music industry the way it is now, we definitely have our advantages being able to promote our music on more sites, revenues, whatever you want to call them, being able to get it out there. However, with that comes a lot bigger competition. With that, comes a bigger need for being business savvy, and I don't think a lot of musicians these days really know how to go about doing that in a good way. So I think what that comes down to is, while we have the tools to do what we need to do, I don't think a lot of us know how to do it.
Indeed, and that is the end of that topic. And wow, we've actually got through 4 topics with all the internet troubles we've been having, and obviously, even with my amazing editing skills, people will notice that there have been drops out in the show, so my humble apologies for that. But we've gone through the 4 topics, which means it's now time to just look at, what have we learned?
We have learned that the Westboro Church are evil.
Yes, we've learned that. We've learned that we need to support independent artists a lot more, and we can't just rely on the music industry.
Like my new album, Songs of Chewbacca.
We've learned that killing people is bad.
Indeed it is.
And we've learned that one of the most awesome things that we should do in our lifetimes is at some point do the Crystal Maze.
Da, 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 da. Ba, ba, ba.
Now, this is before we confuse Tyler even more with our British culture, it's time for Plug That Shit!
Shameless plugging, Venus, shameless plugging,
oh,
shameless plugging, we lost the shame.
Shut up, you bastard!
What, me? You've got 3 singers, man, come on.
Right, all of you, be quiet, okay? Yes. Otherwise, me and Tyler will quite happily do, while I'm gone, a duet. We'll do it, so shut your fucking
Ty, we should do What Is Love, Baby, or Hurt Me.
Now, people, it's time for me to plug your stuff. That's why I need it.
They love
Oh, maybe I would. Maybe I'll just not bother.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Shut your faces. Shut your face. Anyway, you could follow, and I don't know why you would want to, but you could follow Kai on Twitter at the Quil Guy. That is TheQuillGuyKai. You can also follow him on DeviantArt at thequillguy.deviantart.com. Follow him on YouTube at youtube.com/user/thequillguy. Or you can follow his blog at quillguycreations.blogspot.co.uk. And you can follow Tyler on Twitter at Tyler Sanford. That's TylerSanford. You can follow him on Facebook at facebook.com/TSanford14. That is TSanford14. You can actually find a lot of his music by going to www.xiie.net/Tyler Sanford. You can follow him on MySpace. Yes, some people still use MySpace. And you can find him at myspace.com/Tyler Ray Sanford. That is TYLERRAYSANFORD. And of course, at YouTube, at youtube.com/user/ and a bag named T. So that is ABAGNAMEDT. And of course, you can follow Adam over here on Twitter at The Lone Walker 1. That is The Lone Walker number 1. You can also follow him on Facebook, if you so wish,
at facebook.com/The Lone Walker 1.
Absolutely. Shout, of course, has a new fan page created by Adam, which you can find at facebook.com/Shout the Show.
Yeah, create all the stuff!
Yes, create all the stuff. And of course, you can follow Adam on YouTube at youtube.com/user/The Lone Walker 1. And now, you can follow me on Twitter.
I'll give you his address.
You can follow me on Twitter at SteveJones313. You can follow me on Facebook at SteveJones313. You can actually go on my fan page, which is facebook.com/Dear SteveJones313. I actually have a few members on there. Quite happy about it. You can also find my blog. You can go to stevejones313.wordpress.com. Tumblr, stevejones313.tumblr.com. And you can also go to my YouTube if you're watching this via Blip at youtube.com/user/The Wandering Angel. And if you're watching this on YouTube, then you should go visit my Blip account at blip.tv/The Wandering Angel. Now, ladies and gentlemen, next week, it's Adam's turn to host the show.
Indeed it is.
So he'll be hosting it with his special guest. Next week, I shall be recording #Total Markout, the bi-weekly wrestling podcast, co-hosted by Eric Von Gisme and Dan the Geek King Adamson. Special recording time. We're recording on Friday because we're having special guest, our good friend Kane from the Lordcat livestream. That's right, my friends from the Lordcat Mafia joining us for a special episode of #Total Markout. Which means, on this very musical, hateful episode, it is just left for me to say a very big thank you to Adam Caulfield, the Quil Guy, Kai Shepherd, and Tyler Sanford. And Tyler, instead of us using our normal theme written by Adam to end the show, you actually offered one of your tracks to play out as while the credits roll. So, Tyler, what song will be playing us out?
Well, I mean, I'm gonna leave that. I'm gonna leave that up to you, man. You got some good musical taste, so play what you want.
Okay, well, we are going to listen to a fantastic track by Tyler Sanford as the credits roll. Ladies and gentlemen, you can find all the links we've mentioned during the credits. Please check them out. Please visit Tyler Sanford's music. Please visit Kai Shepherd's blog. Please visit Adam's old work. And please visit me when I eventually go to prison. Thank you very much for joining us, people.
I won't let them kill you.
Thank you very much, guys. Now, I am off to cook some fajitas, while singing While You're Gone by Tyler Sanford, because it's an awesome song, While You're Gone. It's a fantastic track. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Everybody say goodbye now.
Have a good one.
I hope you haven't found someone and forgotten me. I hope